Tom Shabilla, and I used to work at the Café Metropolis in beautiful downtown Wilkes-Barre. I would say I worked there for about 5 or 6 years. Again, I use the word work very, very, very loosely. It was one of those things where I showed up enough, I was hanging out, and eventually just started assuming some responsibility. I don't ever think it was hey, could you help us out type of deal. Getting paid was rarely something on the agenda. Again, if the show did really, really well, and we were up on our rent, yeah, maybe I'd make some money, maybe I'd get dinner. But it was never about money per se. It was more about what we were doing.
Listen to what I have to say. Remind yourself every day to get the message on its way. First of all,
so we're at the Livingston Lane entrance of Café Metropolis, and which technically is the back, but really the front. You come in and pay here. I never thought that, more than probably about, it's 14 years later now, I'd still be talking about the Café Metropolis and, just talking about it with people, the questions that we get about it, and again, just documentaries like this, I always think it's really weird that it's something that has endured. I feel like Ian MacKaye giving his 100th interview about Minor Threat and Straight Edge. Tony Camera and Tyler Hammond, a couple, moved to the area. Tony's father, her father owned the Hotel Sterling. They wanted to open up a coffee shop, opened the Café Metropolis up in the Hotel Sterling. It was not meant to be a music venue by any stretch of the imagination, but started really having some open mic nights. And then slowly but surely, people started forming bands, they started playing, bands started going on the road a little bit, making friends in other towns, saying, almost swapping shows, saying, well, we'll play, your venue in Buffalo, you play our venue in Wilkes-Barre, and that's really how it blew up.
What it did for the community and the local bands, it depends on who you ask. It depends on your point of view. I think it was good for, a place that people had to go to that wasn't like just a bar. Culturally, I think this kind of music is important, even though it's not just a type of music. There's a whole bunch of different genres that we kind of span. And there's sort of a little community kind of centered around this. You meet a lot of people, meet tons of people. I've met people from 15 different countries just sitting here in Wilkes-Barre.
We're on the site of the Hotel Sterling. Again, the original home of Café Metropolis, actually a little bit before my time. The original Café Metropolis facade was here, and again, originally intended to be a coffee shop. The Hotel Sterling had a number of restaurants throughout the years, and this was just a continuation of it. Fortunately, around like 1998, the city finally condemned the building. It knocked down after the flood of 2011, but it happened, according to the city, water had gotten into the basement and froze and knocked it off its original foundation, and then again, that was grounds for demolishing the hotel. I was sad to see it go. It was, like I said, it was at one point called Wilkes-Barre's finest address.
This band started almost 7 years ago. 7 years ago next month. And the first place we ever played, and the first place that ever cared enough to put us on a show and ask us to come back and keep having us come back, is Café Metropolis.
So we're at the Livingston Lane entrance of Café Metropolis. This is really where the action happened, and when people paid, this was the general entrance. again, it was someplace that we were able to also do very affordable shows. I think the most I remember ever seeing was $12. And that was somewhat under protest by us.
Very remunerative. We've never made any money. It's a lot of fun. It's something to do on a Friday and Saturday night.
Again, it was getting music into the hands of people that, in a smaller venue, maybe people that could see a band for a really good price. That was up and coming. That was maybe even big.
I mean, bands like the Menzingers, Title Fight. Bands that are pretty big now, Tiger's Jaw, this is the first place they played. This gave them, a home base to play.
I distinctly remember Bigwig. They were kind of the first, one of the first, touring acts, I think, really to make it big in Wilkes-Barre. The band All Scars, they were, as you can see, ex-members of Fugazi and Beefeater. Beefeater was members of the Ataris, were also in Beefeater. All ages, $5. Lawrence Arms. And there's no writing on this, but I remember this show. It was the same night that this other venue in Wilkes-Barre opened up called the Zoo. It was a very short-lived venue, but the Zoo that night had Bane, was a big hardcore band, still to this day. So in Wilkes-Barre that night, there were two, massively big punk bands playing, and that just kind of goes to show you the area at the time, kind of the you could have seen any number of bands at any given moment.
I'm never gonna forget this place, and let's make sure that none of us forget this place.
I think people remember the really great shows. People remember the busy shows. People remember and again, me included, remember the times when you were it was just a packed, or later became a nostalgic show, or a show that people say, oh, I wish I was there. Until you're here on, say, a Sunday night, and it's a show that hardly anybody shows up to. I spent a lot of time right here, over here. Like I said, on a night that it was not busy. I don't know. I feel like I spent a lot of time reading newspapers and books and things. I don't know. For some reason, that's sometimes a better memory of things. Just talking about weird movies and TV shows and music with people. Not necessarily what was going on in the other room.
How many people are bummed about this?
I think the venue could have lasted a few more years if every show was a home run, but again, it just wasn't.
The fact that we did it this long, that we've been open this long, is the most significant part. Not that we're closing. It's more important that we did it for that long, and it's still doable, and you could do it over again. Somebody else can do it.
The venue had sat vacant for a very long time, which made me question why the landlord was going to up our rent so much. I think it was just an economic, he got to remodel the building and got some, remodeling funds from the city or state. Loyalty Barbershop moved in, and the tattoo parlor, South Street Main Tattoo. Thankfully, had the foresight to preserve some of the history. Maybe to my chagrin, the bathroom walls, which are kind of disgusting, but a lot of really interesting graffiti on there. I'm somewhat glad is preserved, and it's something that we could preserve through flyers and things like that they also have here. Seeing parts of flyers that were stuck in here, like you see the Fueled by Ramen, the tag, Troph, that was John Slaby, who recently passed away. He did all the cover art for Title Fight records and the Hyperview Title Fight thing across the street. So that's kind of interesting that no matter what form this building takes, you know, you can still think of it as Café Metropolis.
Prisoners really loved Dynamite Boy. They'd always write in to request some more Dynamite Boy. Beef with there's a band called Split 50 that everybody was really torn on. This band, Tree Fort. I once saw this band drink a gallon of Yoo-Hoo and vomit. I saw them take their clothes off. Yeah, they had a 50s vibe, I guess. You know, sang a lot about drive-in movies and, you know, going in the backseat of your Rambler. This is for you, I guess. Strand show. And $5 free AIDS upon admission. Maybe some herpes too. Heroin and crack also available while supplies last. So get there early.